I'd like to call to order the Common Council meeting for August 27th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Attendance roll call.
Alderpersons Wolf,
Here.
Hamel,
Here.
Decker,
Here.
Schwer,
Here.
Schrader,
Here.
Kubaki,
Here.
and Madden.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. Statement of public notice.
The meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law on August 23rd, 2024.
Thank you. Public comment. There is no public here, so we will move on to communications from the mayor's office. Just a reminder, I did send out a schedule for the next Common Council meeting. Will not be the 10th. It'll be the 17th. So.
Do you get my?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving on, consent agenda, Common Council minutes from July 23rd, 2020.
I would like to pull a couple items from the consent agenda, please.
Sure, let me read them all and then you can tell me which ones you want pulled.
Okay.
Common Council minutes for July 23rd, 2024. Common Council minutes from August 6th, 2024. Voucher approvals, Resolution 047, 2024. Pre-approval of a certified survey map for Helm. Resolution 048, 2024. Appointment of a citizen member to the Library Board. Resolution 049, 2024. Approval of bond reduction for DCEN LLC. Resolution 050, 2024, approval of letter of credit reduction for Peach Lane LLC Twin Silo subdivision. Resolution 051, 2024, approval of a permanent drainage easement for Spitzner. Resolution 052, 2024, approval of a 4-lot certified survey map for Waste Management of Wisconsin, Inc. Resolution 053, 2024, approval of a 1-lot certified survey map for Waste Management of Wisconsin, LLC. Resolution 054, 2024, approval of a 1-lot certified survey map, Waste Management of Wisconsin, Inc. And Resolution 055, 2024, resolution to increase expenses for city alderpersons. Which ones do you want pulled?
Sorry. Mayor, I would like to pull the Common Council minutes for August 6th
Okay.
and Resolution 055-2024.
055, you said?
055-2024.
All right. Any other separate considerations?
Motion to approve the balance and gross.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. All right. Common Council minute meetings from August 6th, 2024.
I would like to add.
Can you make a motion to it? Can I get a motion in a second, then we'll have discussion?
Oh, sure. I would like to add a couple of items, if I may.
After we get a motion and a second for the.
Motion. Second.
All right. And you'd like to add a couple of, okay, let me pull it up.
I've typed up some language, which I'm willing to share with everybody.
I would hope if you're going to get them to vote for it. Let me see, where are the minutes?
Right in the middle of consent. Kind of right in the middle here.
Okay.
Should be third page in.
This way or which way? Okay.
Third page.
All right. What are you suggesting?
Excuse me, Mayor. Where I put add in italics.
Thank you. Do you have enough to?
One short.
We'll share.
Okay.
So can you make that motion verbally? Make the motion verbally of what you would like to amend.
I motion to add the.
Amend? To amend.
I motion to amend the minutes to add the language in italics.
And that language states?
The language states, Mayor stated that everything in capital this year will be funded through landfill and that we have enough in there. And also, in response to the question, why are we here? Alderperson Wolf answered, because it's procedural that we should be here, and the mayor agreed it's more transparent.
Do you have a second for that amendment?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of the motion to amend, say aye.
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 Opposed? Any further discussion on the motion as amended? All those in favor of the motion as amended, say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes. All right, and then the other, we'll bring the other one, I'll need
One more now, yeah.
Yep.
The other one was Resolution 055, 2024, resolution to increase expenses for city alderperson. I'll need a motion to get that on the floor.
Move to approve.
Can I get a
A
second?
second.
Discussion? Go ahead.
I have some things I definitely want to say about this.
Okay.
I am very much opposed to this because I don't care for if we're going to, the original discussion concerning aldermanic pay was the compensation. And instead we decided to add to the expenses. I don't particularly care for that maneuver because it's a subtle way to increase aldermanic compensation without the compensation being in the pay. There's also been no real public discussion of this. I'm against it on principle because, we're talking about $100 now, which doesn't seem like a lot. But what's to say that we couldn't put an expense proposal for like $1,000? That's more significant. I don't like that way of doing it. So that's why I'm opposed to it.
Any other discussion?
I think the reason it's there is because that's what it's actually for, is to help with our expenses.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
What is the motion?
The motion is to approve to
Okay.
increase your expenses by $100 annually.
Okay,
By how much, $100?
$100 annually.
Right.
all right.
That's what we talked about, was just $100 annually?
Yeah,
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's,
$10 or less?
Well, I'm confused. What is Dennis saying? That he doesn't want it added on expenses? He would rather just have it added on salary? I'm confused of
Not at
the,
all, I don't think. I don't think you
I'll
want.
let the alderman address that.
My view is if we want to talk about increasing aldermanic compensation, we ought to take the courage and face up to do that and increase the aldermanic compensation, but we need to do it in a proper process. I don't like this idea of getting additional compensation through the expense side. That to me is kind of like underhanded, because there's nothing to stop it from, as a way to increase our compensation, we could say, okay, instead of $100 this year, we'll increase it by $1,000 next year. That to me, on principle, is just wrong. I just don't like that.
I will just remind you guys, and you're probably all well aware of this, the expenses that you guys are reimbursed for have been the same since before probably 2000.
Yep.
So, that's one thing that hasn't changed. I do want to just address the fact that this was publicly discussed. It was talked at both the committee of the whole. It was talked about and brought up again at a common council meeting when the minutes were amended for that committee of the whole, because they accidentally said $100 per month, and we corrected it to say $100 annually. That was at a common council meeting where that was brought up and approved. So this has had public discussion as you're having it tonight. So, I just want to make it clear to anyone watching that this is not something that was done in back rooms or not in the public. They were, both items were agendized both times when they were talked about. And this would be the third time publicly it's been talked about. So what you guys do with it is up to you, but I just wanted to be clear to the public on that.
I do have a comment. I don't remember it going to $100 per year. I remember talking about a increase on it. When was did I miss a meeting or did I
No,
not
you were at the meeting.
understand it?
It was, yeah, it was at the meeting. It was the first.
When we were in the other room?
Yep, it was the first time we
Oh, it
talked
was
about that
Per
night.
year, okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were talking about moving the expenses up to $100 per month. I thought that, I don't know. I kind of agree with, what was brought up here. I think this started as, it was presented originally, if I remember correctly, Eileen, that you wanted to
Yeah, the price
look at
of
the
gas
terms.
is,
It came to terms, right? You were talking about years, instead of 2 years, a 3-year term, and then somehow it went in.
we talked about two things.
They were
One
two,
was the
they were two
terms,
separate
but
agenda items.
Okay,
yeah.
was that the original thing that you brought up was both? Or did you brought up terms?
I brought up, no, I just said, the price of gas is doubled.
Yeah, but originally, how does this all start? You started with asking about terms for running for
Started
reelection.
talking about changing terms years ago.
Well,
I don't
think that
remember
started-
how it came
The
back.
discussion
year.
for both the request for both came from a common council meeting for a future committee of the whole.
I thought it started just with terms.
No, it was for both.
But anyway, maybe I'm wrong, but I do know that one thing I didn't like is that it morphed into just being an alderman discussion into a mayor discussion, and I'm looking at this and I'm seeing there's other things on here. Who is this? The judge is on here as well. Was that talked about too?
The resolution that this is replacing had all of the elected officials' pays on it. So that's what this one is replacing. And it is clear on there in the ordinance, which is not, actually,
later.
yeah, we can talk about that. Actually, that's not on the agenda here. On this part, we'll talk about that when we bring up,
Okay. But
later tonight, we can talk
but
about
let me
that
ask
part
a
of it.
question about that. There's
Sure.
nothing on that about aldermen though.
And the one
Aldermen
coming up,
is
yes, there
separate
is.
just for expenses.
Just for expenses tonight, yes.
Okay, yeah, and I don't like, I don't like the way this is being presented myself either. I agree.
Well, when we took a look at that compensation study, I think as a group, maybe I'm wrong, thought that our compensation was in line from a salary standpoint. And because expenses went up over the last several years, we decided to adjust those expenses up by $100 annually. I don't think there's anything underhanded, and I really take offense to that, Dennis. There was nothing underhanded. This is all upfront. It was made public. And that's enough of my comments on that.
I guess my question is, what's the difference of raising the actual salary as opposed to the expenses? Why did we choose to do the expenses versus the salary? What's the logic behind that? I want clarification.
As I recall, when we discussed it, it was mainly because expenses were going up. It wasn't proposed as a salary increase. It was proposed as to offset any expenses that we are incurring. So that's why we put it under the expense category.
And is that what you mean, Dennis, by underhanded, like to put it in expenses as opposed, I'm not sure, I'm trying to just get
Yeah,
clarification.
because I think that will be an excuse to be used in the future. We're talking about $100 now, which seems like a small amount, $100 a year, but there's really no cap on this. We could have tossed out $1,000.
We could have tossed out $10,000.
That could have been
We could have
20
tossed
years
out
ago as
$100,000.
This hasn't been changed in over 20 years,
Right.
and the fact that you're changing it now is just being a recognition of
But
where
it's-
your expenses are going for your driving around.
We're
But I
talking
mean, you
about
guys can do
$8 a
you guys can
month.
do what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's but I'm just saying, I mean, your argument that yes, you could change. I mean, you're the common council. You can change anything.
You can't
but,
hold the
But the
future-
fact that you can doesn't mean that you will or ever have. There's no history of that. I mean, this same group, with the exception of two of you, have been sitting here for years, and this has never been changed before. It's just getting in a realization where we've gone multiple years with almost double-digit inflation that. I think it's a valid point, but you guys do what you want, does it?
And this can be changed at future councils as well. We can't.
It could be lowered.
Yeah, it could be
I mean,
lowered back down to zero or increased to whatever number they want.
Things usually never go down, they go up. So I'm against it on principle.
Thank you.
I think
Any-
it's a-
any new
it's a bad practice.
Any new discussion on this?
No.
Seeing none, roll call vote.
Do you know what you're voting on now? There's a motion to approve this. And we had your discussion, it's been pulled, and now you're voting to approve the $100.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Okay. Alderperson Wolf.
No.
Alderperson Hamel.
Yes.
Alderperson Decker.
No.
Alderperson Schwer.
No.
Sorry. Alderperson Schrader.
No.
And Alderperson Kubaki.
Yes.
And Alderperson Madden.
Yes.
All right.
Good.
Moving into new business.
Oh,
What? It failed.
I failed.
okay.
Yeah. Moving into new business. First reading of the ordinance and second reading if rules are changed. Ordinance 1495, an ordinance to establish salaries for elected officials. This is just a first reading. Alderman Wolf, if you have questions about why, do you want me to address that right now, or do you want me to address it at the second reading? For the, why everyone's on one thing?
Why, I'm sorry, say it again?
You had asked the question on the ordinance, why all the elected officials are on there, and it's simply because the ordinance that this is replacing had all the previous ordinance had all the elected officials on it. It doesn't mean that the other ones are changed, and the ordinance states which
Well,
ones are
I know
changing.
one's an expense and one's a payroll too.
No, yes, yeah, but I'm just talking about this ordinance. You had made a comment about having the judge on there and everyone else. And-
Well, I didn't remember talking about the judge.
Yeah, and it's not changing on there either, so.
It's not.
No, the only thing that's changing on there is the mayor's, and if you read the ordinance, it's stated that way.
Yeah, and like I said, I have a problem with the whole thing because we morphed from one issue to another, and that's the dilemma I have.
That's fine, and you can, our vote is actually the second reading of it, so, yes, sir.
Question
Unless
there.
we waive the first reading, right?
You could, but I wouldn't
Do
recommend.
we want to waive the first reading?
Question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So what you're saying it's customary, if we're talking about a increase in compensation, it's customary to restate the pay of the other parties, even though their compensation is not being affected?
We have, I'll let the city attorney address that.
Well,
The ordinance that's replacing had all of it.
I'd have to look back, when you say customary, I'd have to look back to see if that's been done. It was done this time because it just made sense that the other ordinance had it. So nobody got changed other than the mayor's salary. Everything else, just so we all had it nice on one sheet, we just listed it against it. And if you read it, I put in there, which has been in effect since May 2020. So they're not changing, but it was just, we thought it would be more efficient to have it all on one page.
It makes it easier for people that are trying to find this when they're researching it, that they can search elected official salaries. They find it in one place instead of trying to look through 6 different ordinances.
You'd have to look at one for the
cleaner.
judge, one for the alderman.
And that's why
To
they're all
have it
listed
in
on
one
one.
is more efficient. So I can't answer I don't know customer, I'd have to look back.
All right, any other questions?
I guess if I had my druthers, I'd rather just vote on the one. But if you're saying, I guess it's for order.
It's for order and
Yeah.
transparency for the citizens. When they're looking this up, they can find it all in one place instead of, because our ordinances aren't alphabetical or anything, they're listed by number. And if you change one now and another one later, they're going to have to look through all this information, and versus here, it's always in one place.
I hear your point.
All right, anything else?
Are we going to have discussion about this?
We just did. No, the second reading is the next. so
Unless we wanted.
Unless you wanted to waive it, but.
Go right to the
I guess
second? Does anybody want to go to the second?
I would,
Or waive the second?
I would prefer if you wait until the second, so we have more transparency with the public. You're changing salaries, so.
Well, we didn't with the alderman. It's the same issue. This is all under the same umbrella, but they're separated. One's a first reading and one wasn't.
What? When is what?
We just did the alderman separate.
Well, that's a resolution. This is an ordinance. They're two different things.
But
One's reimbursement for your costs. The other one is
Right.
compensation for
Yeah, I
your
know
work.
what
There's
you're-
two different, they're
But we can if anybody wants.
You can.
If,
just asking not to.
or do you want to go to the second reading? I'm just a question I'm asking as a consensus.
Why would we go to a second reading right away? If we're talking about openness and transparency, wouldn't we want a second reading?
Absolutely.
I would want a second reading.
Okay, fine. I'm just asking.
Question?
Alderman?
What's the process of a second reading? Does that mean it's continued to another meeting?
Yeah, it's just read out loud for the first time we read it. It's just notice, it's being more deliberate before you pass it, so the public has more opportunity on it. That's what we do with all of our ordinances.
Because of the importance of an ordinance over anything else, it's customary that it gets 2 readings so that it's got a chance for you guys to read it this time, think about it, and it doesn't get passed or failed until the second reading.
Gives you an option to get more questions served.
You can come to the city staff if you had to ask questions. I mean, that's why it's done. That's been done forever. That one I can answer for you.
All right. Moving on, new business, there is none. I'm sorry, we're past that. Unfinished business, ordinance 1494, ordinance to amend the zoning map and 2020 comprehensive plan for the city of Muskego, our RM2 to RS2 Oak Ridge Glen.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Review of committee reports. In front of you have the committee of the whole meeting minutes from June 3rd, 2024, and the finance committee minutes from June 25th, 2024. License approvals. Approval of an outside dance permit for Eagle Trace Brewing Company, LLC, DBA Eagle Park Brewing and Distillery Corp., located at South 64 West 15640 Commerce Center Parkway for the following dates: September 6th and 7th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. For Oktoberfest, April 18th, 2025, from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. Joint Beer Fest pre-party, April 19th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Joint Beer Fest.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. City officials report, there is none. Communications and miscellaneous business as authorized by law. Is there any updates from the liaison? Seeing none, can the clerk read the motion of closed session?
Following conclusion of consideration of the above portion of its regularly scheduled agenda, the Common Council will meet to vote on a motion to convene in closed session for discussion action relative to discussion of city's sex offender ordinance with regards to a possible offender and to take such further action as may be appropriate with respect to such matters. A closed session for the above purpose is authorized pursuant to the provisions of Wisconsin statutes, sections 19.85, sub 1, sub G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Upon conclusion of the closed session, the Common Council will reconvene in open session to consider its public agenda, including motions to recommend approval or rejection of the above listed deliberations or any of the public agenda items that have not been acted upon.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Alderperson Wolf.
Yes.
Alderperson Hamel.
Yes.
Alderperson Decker.
Yes.
Alderperson Schwer.
Yes.
Alderperson Schreider.
Yes.
Alderperson Kubaki.
Yes.
Alderperson Madden.
Yes.
All right, 7
We are
in favor.
all right, we are in closed session.